"Take it off for yourself, then," cried Fiorimonde, who now was so angry that she only wished to be rid of Gervaise in any way. "No, indeed," said Gervaise. "I am no tire-woman, and should not know how to clasp and unclasp it." And in spite of all Fiorimonde could say or do, he would not touch either her or the magic chain. At night, the storm grew even fiercer, but it did not trouble the princess. She waited till all were asleep, and then she opened her bedroom window and chirped softly to the little brown bird, who flew down from the roof at her call. Then she gave him a handful of seeds as before, and he grew and grew and grew, till he was as large as an ostrich, and she sat upon his back and flew out through the air, laughing at the lightning and thunder which flashed and roared around her. Away they flew till they came to the old witch's cave, and here they found the witch sitting at her open door, catching the lightning to make charms with. "Welcome, my dear," croaked she, as Fiorimonde stepped from the bird. "Here is a knight we both love well. And how goes the necklace? Right merrily, I see. 12 beads already. But what is that 12th?" And she looked at it closely. "Nay, that is one thing I want you to tell me," said Fiorimonde, drying the rain from her golden hair. "Last night when I slept there were 11, and this morning there are 12, and I know not from whence comes the 12th. "It is no suitor," said the witch, "but from some young maid that bead is made. But why should you mind? It looks well with the others." "Some young maid," said the princess. "Then it must be Cicely, or Maribel, or Yolande, who would have robbed me of my necklace as I slept. But what care I? The silly wench is punished now, and so may all others be who would do the same." "And when will you get the 13th bead, and where will he come from?" asked the witch. "He waits at the palace now," said Fiorimonde, chuckling, "and this is why I have to speak to you." And then she told the witch of the stranger who had come in the storm, and of how he would not touch her necklace, nor take the cord in his hand, and how he said also that he knew a woman fairer than she. "Beware, princess, beware," cried the witch in a warning voice as she listened. "Why should you heed tales of other women fairer than you? Have I not made you the most beautiful woman in the world? And can any others do more than I? Give no ear to what this stranger says, or you shall rue it." But still the princess murmured, and said she did not love to hear anyone speak of others as beautiful as she. "Be warned in time," cried the witch, "or you will have cause to repent it. Are you so silly or so vain as to be troubled because a prince says idly what you know is not true? I tell you, do not listen to him, but let him be slung to your chain as soon as may be, and then he will speak no more." And then they talked together of how Fiorimonde could make Gervaise grasp the fatal string. Next morning, when the sun rose, Gervaise started off into the woods, and there he plucked acorns and haws and hips, and strung them onto a string to form a rude necklace. This he hid in his bosom, and then went back to the palace without telling anyone. When the princess rose, she dressed herself as beautifully as she could, and braided her golden locks with great care, for this morning she meant her new suitor to meet his fate. After breakfast, she stepped into the garden, where the sun shone brightly, and all looked fresh after the storm. Here from the grass, she picked up a golden ball and began to play with it. "Go to our new guest," cried she to her ladies, "and ask him to come here and play at ball with me." So they went, and soon they returned, bringing Gervaise with them. "Good morrow, Prince," cried she. "Pray, come and try your skill at this game with me. And you," she said to her ladies, "do not wait to watch our play, but each go your way, and do what pleases you best." So they all went away, and left her alone with Gervaise. "Well, Prince," cried she as they began to play, "what do you think of me by morning light? Yesterday, when you came in, it was so dark, with thunder and clouds, that you could scarcely see my face. But now that there is bright sunshine, pray look well at me, and see if you do not think me as beautiful as any woman on earth." And she smiled at Gervaise, and looked so lovely as she spoke, that he scarce knew how to answer her. But he remembered Yolande, and said, "Doubtless you are very beautiful. Then why should you mind my telling you that I have seen a woman lovelier than you?" At this the princess again began to be angry, but she thought of the witch's words, and said, "Then if you think there is a woman fairer than I, look at my beads, and now that you see their colors in the sun, say if you ever saw such jewels before." "It is true I have never seen beads like yours, but I have a necklace here which pleases me better." And from his pocket he drew the haws and acorns which he had strung together. "What is that necklace, and where did you get it? Show it to me," cried Fiorimonde, but Gervaise held it out of her reach and said, "I like my necklace better than yours, Princess, and believe me, there is no necklace like mine in all the world." "Why, is it a fairy necklace? What does it do? Pray give it to me," cried Fiorimonde, trembling with anger and curiosity, for she thought, perhaps it has power to make the wearer beautiful. Perhaps it was worn by the woman whom he thought more beautiful than I, and that is why she looked so fair. "Come, I will make a fair exchange," said Gervaise. "Give me your necklace, and you shall have mine. And when it is round your throat, I will truthfully say that you are the fairest woman in the world. But first, I must have your necklace." "Take it then," cried the princess, who in her rage and eagerness forgot all else, and she seized the string of beads to lift it from her neck. But no sooner had she taken it in her hands than they fell with a rattle to the earth, and Fiorimonde herself was nowhere to be seen. Gervaise bent down over the necklace as it lay upon the grass, and with a smile counted 13 beads, and he knew that the 13th was the wicked princess, who had herself met the evil fate she had prepared for so many others. "Oh, clever princess," cried he, laughing aloud, "you are not so very clever, I think, to be so easily outwitted." Then he picked up the necklace on the point of the sword and carried it, slung thereon, into the council chamber, where sat the king surrounded by statesmen and courtiers busy with state affairs. "Pray, king," said Gervaise, "send someone to seek for Princess Fiorimonde. A moment ago she played with me at ball in the garden, and now she is nowhere to be seen." The king desired that servants should seek her royal highness, but they came back saying she was not to be found. "Then let me see if I cannot bring her to you. But first, let those who have been longer lost than she come and tell their own tale." And so saying, Gervaise let the necklace slip from his sword onto the floor, and taking from his breast a sharp dagger, proceeded to cut the golden thread on which the beads were strung. And as he clave it in two, there came a mighty noise like a clap of thunder. "Now," cried he, "look and see King Pierrot, who was lost." And as he spoke, he drew from the cord a bead, and King Pierrot, in his royal clothes, with his sword at his side, stood before them. "Treachery!" he cried. But ere he could say more, Gervaise had drawn off another bead, and King Hildebrand appeared. And after him came Adrian, and Sigbert, and Algar, and Senred, and Fiorimonde, and Raoul, and last of the princes, Gervaise's own dear master Florestan, and they all denounced Princess Fiorimonde and her wickedness. "And now," cried Gervaise, "here is she who has helped to save you all." And he drew off the 12th bead, and there stood Yolande in her red dress, and when he saw her, Gervaise flung away his dagger and took her in his arms, and they wept for joy. The king and all the courtiers sat, pale and trembling, unable to speak for fear and shame. At length the king said, with a deep groan, "We owe you deep amends, O noble kings and princes. What punishment do you wish us to prepare for our most guilty daughter?" But here Gervaise stopped him and said, "Give her no other punishment than what she has chosen for herself. See, here she is, the 13th bead upon the string. Let no one dare to draw it off, but let the string be hung up where all people can see it, and see the one bead, and know the wicked princess is punished for her sorcery. So it will be a warning to others who would do like her." So they lifted the golden thread with great care, and hung it up outside the town hall, and there the one bead glittered and gleamed in the sunlight, and all who saw it knew that it was the wicked Princess Fiorimonde, who had justly met her fate. Then all the kings and princes thanked Gervaise and Yolande, and loaded them with presents, and each went to his own land. And Gervaise married Yolande, and they went back with Prince Florestan to their home, and all lived happily to the end of their lives.